Time is 3:31. We are calling the meeting of the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie on March 10th to order. Our fearless leader, Chuck Scalise, you may not see him here with us, but he actually is on the screen, the big screen. So I will be leading the meeting today.
Thank you.
So we'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody could stand, look to the flag, and repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of the
flag
United States
of
of
the
America,
United States of
to the
America,
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So first order of business is the approval of the agenda that was circulated to the board members last week. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And next item is the approval of the minutes from the February 10th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll open up the floor for citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens who wish to be heard today? Hearing none, we'll move on to the finance report.
Thank you. In your packet, you have a copy of the profit and loss first. It is showing that we currently have an operating revenue of negative $48,387.55 as of the end of February. We do have outstanding ARPA payment requests that have not been reimbursed yet. We also have our January Erie Land Bank reimbursement that has not been received yet, and PA state lead outstanding. So we're not actually in that bad of a position at the moment. It just doesn't look good for the cutoff of February. The next sheet that you have is the balance sheet. It shows in our checking account we have $231,770.16 in the race checking. ARPA, we still have almost $1.6 million. The check detail report is quite large after that. That was a carryover from having held payments after the end of the year and hoping to not have to duplicate too many general ledger entries into the new system, but that did not happen. So we ended up having to cut all of those before the end of February. And then we also have included the reconciliation report for February after that.
Do we have any questions from the board? Is that a no? None?
None for me.
All right. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the finance report pending audit?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. Vice Chair, could
Yeah.
I address the board for a moment?
Sure.
In your packet is a letter from Baker Tilly, and I know at the February board meeting, you know, April had mentioned it, and I certainly, you know, assured that the board would have Blackbaud financial statements at this point, and we were positioned to do that, and it was unknown to myself, April, and Corey, you know, in the finance office, as to where Baker Tilly's implementation was, not Baker Tilly, Blackbaud's implementation was. The last week of February, we found out that our consultant with Capital Business Solutions, Zachary, has not got to implementing our accounts receivable portion of the Blackbaud program. So in my frustration with the way this is going, I reached out to Isaac from Baker Tilly, who's been working with us, and Zachary from Capital Business Solutions, who's supposed to be in charge of our implementation for the Blackbaud Financial Edge NXT, and expressed my displeasure with the amount of work and continued blame being placed on April and Corey in not getting things to them in a timely manner, and expressed that, we're they're trying to keep the operations of the authority moving, at my direction, and that they're supposed to be the ones driving this ship. And so Isaac met with Zachary last week and emphasized the fact that they are the ones that are supposed to be doing this and doing it in a timely manner. So Baker Tilly provided this letter for the board just to try to give overview to the board as to where things are, and so that the board is aware that we are doing what we can on our end, and that Zachary with Capital Business Solutions is not fulfilling his end of keeping this moving forward. So we're going to reach out to his management at Capital Business Solutions and hopes to kind of put some pressure on him to get this implemented. I would like to say the end of March, but right now it looks like probably May will be when we'll have Blackbaud Financial Edge statements done, because of the amount of input that will have to be done by April and Corey into the system. He did inform Zachary from Capital Business Solutions, did inform Isaac last week that he could do another batch upload into the system for us, which was the first time he had said he could do that for the 2025 year, which now April and Corey have done already a substantial amount of that data input into the system.
So all the data is input, it's just a matter of them going through and processing? Is that what I'm understanding? Or?
So they still have the one module, the accounts receivable, that hasn't been added to our software yet.
Okay.
So they've still got to implement that, upload all the historical data, but then April and Corey still got to go in and then input all of 2025's
Understood.
data into that. Zachary only currently has 2024.
Okay.
And so it was implied to us by Zachary at the beginning of 2025 that it was going to be our responsibility to do that. And April and Corey were it was on their schedule. They had agreed to do a little extra time the last week of February to get all of the January and February in, so we could have the board financial statements in Blackbaud. And during that time is when we found out that the accounts receivable module was not even ready for us at this point.
Yeah, so it looks like based on timeframes, it looks like April, and then there's going to be some back and forth. So you're thinking realistically May?
Yeah, it's looking like May we'll have Blackbaud statements with budget versus actual and everything in the new system.
So it'll be a whole different interface moving forward.
Yes. So I apologize. We're doing the best we can, but like I said, for Capital Business Solutions to think that April and Corey, this is the only thing they're working on was completely absurd. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aaron, I was going to ask, I think you just kind of confirmed it. So the real kind of choke point was Capital Business Solutions. If there's anything I can do in my unofficial capacity at Baker Tilly to push it along, I'm more than happy to nudge Isaac or the principal in charge, Caitlin. But it sounds like most of it is on Capital Business Solutions, and really unprofessionally blaming the Redevelopment Authority staff for their lack of movement.
Yes, that's correct. Isaac and Prachi, who from Baker Tilly have been phenomenal and responsive, and just the spreadsheet that Zachary keeps sending to them, and even my conversation Friday with Isaac from Baker Tilly, I asked him, point blank, is it common for an implementation person to be the sole responsible person? Zachary has no accountability. He has no manager looking over his shoulder, so he's essentially just doing it at his own pace, which, Isaac's like, that's not normal, and so we're going to reach out. I'm going to reach out, and Isaac said he'll be on the call with me to have the meeting with Capital Business Solutions to address our concern and see if we can potentially trade off some of what Zachary has not done to help the authority get a little bit extra out of our contract with them.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board on this? Okay. So we're jumping to the report of the executive director. The first order of business on that is the solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, Board. You would have received, as part of your package, a number of documentation. First of all, the memorandum, and then there was an attachment with regard to a property in particular. The first one, 711 West 18th. First of all, I'm glad and delighted to see that this is shrinking in size. So we are continuing to make progress again with the help of Aaron and his whole team, and quite frankly, the entire office from top to bottom. 711 West 18th Street. We had been working with this gentleman for an extended period of time. Again, Kyle's been instrumental in working with the right people to make sure that the property is cleared out. We're making a final distribution in accordance with the just compensation. This was a case that has been going on for an extended period of time, and there was a lot of frustration involved. So appreciate all the help and guidance that the office has been able to do, but we're going to have that wrapped up, and hopefully this is going to come off of the agenda here for next month, or certainly the next month afterwards. Patterson Avenue, we are in the process, and we've located heirs to make the final distribution, and that property is going. The rehabilitation process is probably going to start here in short order. You did receive my memo following the hearing with regard to item number 3. Item number 4, demolition is scheduled, so we're going to have that matter concluded as well. For the past number of months, I've talked about industrial lots, and we're anxious to get those transferred, working with a local attorney to get that processed, reached out repeatedly. I'm at a point where I'm just going to finish the deeds and send it to them for signature instead of waiting vice versa from the seller's end. So just going to kind of take that bull by the horns and do that. And then working with another local attorney on 2 properties that I think the city of Erie is intending to purchase 2 empty lots, 2 that are titled in Race's name. So that should be done here in short order as well. There was some back and forth as to who was to prepare and submit the documentation. We've cleared up that it's their responsibility to make that proposal to us, and I'm helping to facilitate that. Again, kind of taking the bull by the horns and doing what needs to be done to facilitate that. So in all, we've made great progress, and I really appreciate Aaron and his entire office in helping throughout this process to narrow it down from usually a 2-page report to a 6-item report. So thank you again, Aaron.
I have a question on number 1, the Board of View hearing related to valuations on hold. I'm assuming that's because there's been consensus on the distribution or the just compensation award?
That is, the backstory was that appraisal, it has value, but it is, it's been used as a storage facility, both inside and out. Okay. So what we had done had negotiated a resolution for the payment with the understanding that he was going to remove those items. That agreement never got signed, much to the dismay of his local attorney, okay, who basically washed his hands of it. So what we did was the agreement entered into was a little bit more than what the appraisal was, but that agreement was never signed. So what we've done is we've extended it a couple of times to try to accommodate it and to let the other local attorney try to work something out, all to no avail, all to the other attorneys no avail. Mm-hmm. So with my directive, just said, you know what, clear it out. We'll add that to our cost expense. and we'll make the distribution in accordance with our appraisal. Now, that other side has the right to hold a hearing on value. I'm going to add to that, or subtract from that, our costs to remove all the items. And this is a property in Little Italy. It is full, and the yard is full, and the back alley is full. So I'm anticipating that it's going to be an expense. So if there is a hearing, a Board of View hearing, we would have the ability to diminish our damages, but we have proceeded forward to that point, to getting ready to make that distribution.
And how much time do they have for the Board of View to?
They have up to 6 years,
Oh, wow.
which is,
How long are we into this for this particular?
They have 1 year.
I'm sorry, they have 1 year from the date of the filing of
The just compensation
the
order.
just compensation.
And it looks like this commenced in 2022, so when did we file? I mean, is there a significant period of time? I mean, do we have like a full year that we're waiting out on this, or?
I think that we're within the year, the clock is ticking, the 1 year has not expired.
Okay.
So we were trying to accommodate this person, and they had a local attorney who we were working with. But it is 1 year from the date of the filing of that just compensation. So I'll confirm that for the board.
Okay.
As to where we are with that. But it was to a point, we were so frustrated that we were kind of being delayed that I said, look, full steam ahead, let's go.
Yeah, and I saw that with number 5. It looked like it was like the same report, month after month, so I'm glad to see that you're.
That's
moving
exactly
on.
right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm more than happy to do that. I wasn't asked to do it, but it's in our best interest to make sure that the deed coming into us is right, and how I or we want it.
Right.
So that's our step at this point, is to prepare the deed, make sure that the descriptions are accurate, submit it to that local attorney, and say, look, we had thought, and I had been reaching out, we wanted this done by year end. It's March.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And title-wise, everything's clear on those?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
And then the last one, item number 6, the 2 properties, East 16th Street, is that just like a intramunicipal transfer, like no consideration?
So though that'll be, so it's actually the county executive reached
Okay.
out in regards of purchasing these lots. I sent him the proposal forms. He's since had an attorney from McDonald Illig reach out to Gene. I don't know where the confusion is. I reached out to some other individuals as far as the project that he had talked about. I don't quite know where they are, but essentially we're going to get the proposals back and then try to proceed as we can. Certainly if the county wants to purchase the lots, they're welcome to. We don't really have much else interest over in it. If you're not familiar with that area, it's kind of a block east of Parade Street by the jail. There's not a lot of housing left. We've demolished a considerable amount in the last few years. So, but the transfer would be to Erie County or some other entity associated with an initiative or project that the county executive wants to build over there. So, don't really have much more as far as details on that.
And so we don't have any feedback from our initial proposal at this point in time?
No.
And when I received the email, I was confused, going, they're sending us our blank proposal forms, and I'm going, what do you want me to do here? I don't know who and I even to today, I was confused. Who's your client? Is it the county? Is it city? Who is it? I can't put together your proposal. I'm willing to help and do as much as I can. And what is your proposal amount?
Right.
I'd like to put 50,000, but it's not my client and not my proposal.
Right.
So I've kind of sent an email out today, and we'll follow up this afternoon, just saying, hey, look, if we need to get together over a cup of coffee and get this to help facilitate it, I'm more than happy to do it. But it is intergovernmental, and I'm not sure what authority they need to get to make the proposal to us.
Right.
So I'm working through that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any other questions for solicitors, on the solicitor's report?
Nope.
Hearing none. Move on to the general updates from Aaron.
So,
Thank you.
I guess I'll wait till I'm back to the screen. I don't talk about it, Mike. All right, so I just handed the board, and Ethan and Chuck, you should have received in your email, the annual report for the Redevelopment Authority. So this is something certainly I'm extremely proud about, and it's really checking off, things as far as progressing and working toward, streamlining and getting everything in line as far as what the authority is supposed to be doing. And so in my tenure here at the authority, we've never provided the board with an annual report, so that goes back to 2011. So I don't know how far back it's been since it stopped, but this is the annual report as outlined in the urban redevelopment law that is supposed to be presented to the board, made public, and presented to the mayor as our appointing official toward the board of directors. So again, something I'm extremely proud about, and I have to say thank you to Kendra Wilson, who really turned my Word document into what is in front of you today, and I couldn't be prouder of what she put together. So, thank you, Kendra, for doing that. So, yeah, I won't go over it because, certainly it's 115 degrees in here, so it's hot, and I have a lot. So, it's for your review. I think we're all melting. So, put some more water on the coals. All right, so there's a report. I also provided the executive director report. I know back in February, Chuck had reached out and, kind of wanted some more detail. So I'm going to try to get a little bit better at every month putting together a report for the board as far as, things that have happened, things that, discussions we've had, kind of those milestones and meetings. So, certainly, at the beginning of February, around the last board meeting, I was in Harrisburg, April and I, for the Legislative Summit, and also for as a board member of PARA, for the strategic planning meeting there. I also sit on the Occupational Advisory Council for the Erie County Tech School. On February 13th, I attended that meeting and worked toward, the betterment of the construction trades program up there. We presented to DECD, City's Department of Economic and Community Development, along with the mayor, as far as our CDBG request to them. There's some information there on the Community Land Trust and where we stand as far as that goes. The biggest one was the ribbon cutting of the Erie Bank on February 24th. And if the board didn't see the posts on Facebook or my LinkedIn, as far as, those two of those three lots that bank was built on were acquired by the Redevelopment Authority back in 1978 for basically blight mitigation. And we stewarded those lots until several years ago when we conveyed those to the Eastside Renaissance for the development of the bank. The purpose of those lots, and we'd received proposals over the years, and it was something we wanted to see, development that would better that corridor. And so, with the Eastside Renaissance leading that charge, it was kind of a no-brainer to transfer those lots over to them. So, other than that, the audit update, last week, March 3rd and 4th, representatives from our Redevelopment Authority auditor, I'm not going to butcher their name because I'm not good at that, Zolukov Axelrod. We're in the office, so it's going well. I really do like the new auditors, and it's always good when a new auditor comes in because they ask questions and bring up things that the other ones didn't. But I feel as if we should have an audit well before mid-year for the board to approve. So that'll be it as far as that goes. Also in your packet is kind of ENGP and Redevelopment Authority. Tracy put together kind of some of the stuff that she's been working on, a lot of the stuff with the community engagement, with the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, and also the neighborhood meetings that she's attending. And so she's in the front row if the board has any questions associated with that, or if she'd like to say anything, stand up at the podium. It's there if you want to use it. Okay, I'm just giving you the opportunity, but so that's there for the board's review as well. So, the multitude of grants she's been working on and submitting on behalf of the Redevelopment Authority, the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, has been tremendous, and hopefully, with we'll get some awards, and it'll continue our work toward, neighborhood revitalization and such. So I will stop there and open it up to the board for any questions, comments.
Do we have any questions from the board?
I have questions, but Aaron, I know this kind of goes back a little bit, a couple of months, to just like looking at conferences, ways that the redevelopment authority can continue making partnerships, and one of them was, is the redevelopment authority attending all of the conferences that it can in order to be connected with potential developer partners, other stakeholders that can help further the redevelopment authority's goals. I did reach out to my colleague that spent decades working in Pennsylvania, and it looks like PHFA's biannual conference is being held this year, so the Multifamily Affordable Housing Conference, and I think that is June 4th to 6th. So I don't know if you're going to be available for that date, but I think that might be a really good one to go to, especially if the authority is looking to make those connections with private developers.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
Anything further from the board? All right, if not, then we will move on to unfinished business and new business. Looks like we have a couple resolutions to review. So the first for blighted property acquisition, Aaron, do you want to give us a brief summary of this?
Absolutely. So these 5 properties identified on this resolution are properties that the Erie Land Bank has requested that the Redevelopment Authority acquire on their behalf through the blighted property acquisition. So we've identified 1012 West 19th, 1014 West 19th Street, which is 2 parcels over in a heavily industrial area of the city, and this is a blighted property that code enforcement has been on for some time, along with 3 residential properties that have been on the blighted property list for well over 3 years, almost 4 as far as the one goes, but highly distressed and sustainable neighborhoods that the land bank feels would be great acquisitions as far as part of their work plan 2025. So those are the 5 properties that I'm asking that the Redevelopment Authority Board authorize condemnation action against.
And the first 2 looks like, are those adjoining lots?
They are. There's an alleyway that runs between the 2 of them.
Okay.
There's a T alley on that lot, or on that block. So it's, one's the 1014 is or 1012 is a tiny parcel that is owned by the same owner. In our experience, it's best to go after both if they're connected by the same owner. And then 1014 is the larger old industrial building, auto shop that is in very poor condition and constantly being opened up by vagrants and the like for fires, illegal activity and such, which really is worrisome to the other business owners, as far as the potential for a fire hazard and loss of their infrastructure as well. So something that would be a betterment for that area and those business owners. So,
And I know you don't have any back title on any of this, but do we know, is that alley, is that just a private alley, or is that a
no,
public?
it is a municipal alley.
Okay.
It is owned by the city of Erie.
All right. So we do have a resolution before us. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to accept the 5 properties listed for blight designation, and then for us to, I guess, start the eminent domain process? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries, so that resolution is accepted. And then the next resolution is for a grant application for the East Bayfront Greenway Trail Project. Aaron, you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a harmless plug, our bids for the East Bayfront Greenway Trail Phase 1 park development are out for bid on the website and due March 27th. But this is a resolution for a grant that Tracy has been working on for the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. So really trying to build that capital stack to help offset the known or at least future cost of that Phase 1 development. So the resolution is to authorize the Redevelopment Authority to submit a $70,000 grant application to DCNR for the East Bayfront Greenway Trail Plan. Again, it would be utilized toward the development of that Phase 1 park and any other development associated with that plan. And it just further resolves that it gives the board authorizes myself and April Decker to execute all documents associated with that grant application.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, the next order of business is the Housing Rehabilitation Report.
Don't like being at the podium. Not a whole ton to report this month, other than where we're at with projects, which I won't read those all to you. Probably the biggest thing is, as far as we know, our period of performance on our new lead grant started on March 6th or March 1st. So barring any directive otherwise that has not come yet, we're moving right along. I've got a pipeline of applicants already going for that. The other big one is contractors. Of course, especially with the weather getting nice, we're heading into construction season. So this is when we really need to be making a push to get some new contractors. We'll have a lot of county jobs coming up with the whole home program and, of course, lead jobs. We do have one potential of the new inquirers among contractors who's interested in becoming a lead contractor. He is currently doing lead contracting work in the state of New York. So he is working with the state of Pennsylvania right now to try to get that certification passed over here. That would probably take some time, but he is interested. We have another one of our EPA classes that training classes that we're hosting at ECAT at the end of this month. And we should be working with them and our trainer now that our contract signed with our new lead trainer to get a full slate of training in place for the year to do one of these classes quarterly to offer at ECAT, which would be really, really excellent. Shameless self-plug, I passed my risk assessor exam in Ohio, so now I had to do all the same things to submit for Pennsylvania and start the process all over again, because reciprocity is not as simple as just saying, here I passed, I have to pass in Pennsylvania too. But beyond that, back to contractors, we're not really having a ton of luck procuring new contractors, particularly out in the county. It seems like the biggest challenge for them, a lot of these are smaller contracting companies out in the county, and they don't have the ability to front a lot of project cost up front. So, payment turnaround times can be really difficult on them. And so that seems to be our biggest barrier to entry with procuring new contractors right now from what we've been able to determine. That's about it. Yeah, so contractors help in closing.
Do we have any questions from the board? I think a general congratulations is in order.
Mostly we're just excited to get going on the new lead grant, with federal grants being what they are right now. We're certainly excited to get going on it, and it seems like we did get notification to attend program manager school with HUD next month, which is roughly 5 minutes from now. But everything seems to be moving along, and we've certainly been getting applicants, so that's good news.
All right, great, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Next item of business is the Neighborly Software I don't know, is that Aaron, is that you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can speak to that. So as everyone's aware, as things go and pieces move and that, you know, we several years ago, we implemented a bunch of different things and to make ourselves more productive as far as software wise. And so as it goes and things improve and software companies develop and grow, there becomes a time when certainly you come across a software that would be better for the redevelopment authority. And so when Kendra and I were in DC for new grantee orientation, you know, a lot of the grantees were talking about this Neighborly software. And so, you know, Kendra, we're sitting there at the table, she sends an email out, you know, Martin from Neighborly reaches out and we set up some meetings. And so since December, we've been kind of going back and forth and working with Martin to try to see if Neighborly would be good for us. And so we've had several meetings with him. I know Kendra has reached out to some of the other people across the state and other grantees that utilize it. And so we got a proposal from him. And so we've done our due diligence and vetted out what this software can offer to us. And so I put together this because I wanted to kind of outline what we have and what Neighborly would be providing. And so really this proposal for software transition to Neighborly, current softwares is the big one. You know, so currently right now, you know, the authority has a license with the mortgage office to manage our mortgages. And so certainly when I had come to the board and asked for us to get the mortgage office, we had the mortgage or the loan programs that we were going to roll out. We had a thought that we were going to do all these consumer loans, and that was all prior to us realizing and getting the determination from Ed Smith at Marsh that certainly we couldn't do that many consumer loans without all of the paperwork and that goes along with it. So certainly, you know, the board's aware we have the $5 million loan on Ironwork Square, and then we still have some additional loan money that will go out, but not to that level to which we would be monitoring loans that we had anticipated. Now, we still use the mortgage office for our deferred payment loans, our forgivable loans, CDBG and such that we do. This software is built for those. And so it would still be built, it's still built for the monthly payment loans. I'm not going to butcher that word because I'm sweating too much. But so that right now is based at $15,000 a year plus $7,000 for 2 additional users. So $22,000 a year annually, and our contract expires the end of this year. So we're paid at the end of this year. Our contract with mortgage office will be done. We would have to renegotiate a contract. And as the current structure goes, more than likely will go up. Right now, exact, and I butchered that, exact estimating software, we pay $6,000 per license per year for our inspectors to write scopes of work. So $18,000 a year annually we pay for our estimating software. And then Epic Web Hosting, we pay $2,000 a year annually, $2,000 annually to host our client portal, which is how we track our clients now that apply online and go in there, and Kendra and Holly both use that for tracking of that. So right now for that group of software that Neighborly could replace is $42,000. Neighborly's proposal is 10 users, $2,700 a year at $27,000 annually. So if you look at Neighborly Software's proposal, even with the $19,000 one-time fee for implementation and loading all of our existing information, our historical data into Neighborly, it's still only $4,000 more a year just for the initial first year than the continuation of the 3 software platforms that Neighborly would replace. So I guess I'll stop there and open it up to the board for questions.
Just to confirm, the mortgage office software, you said that would be replaced by Neighborly as well?
Yes.
Okay, and they have, I guess, the functionality to take whatever information that we have now and run the amortizations and do all that stuff. So, again, just flat out replacement.
Flat out replacement, yes.
Okay.
And so part of the $19,000 implementation is to take that CSV file out of mortgage office and implement it into Neighborly as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we lose some functionality because Neighborly's not quite the consumer-facing mortgage software that the mortgage office is. We can't do ACH notcha files out of Neighborly, but we can create them. We just have, there's a little bit more manual process behind it. But like I said, we don't have the 150 consumer loans that we had anticipated having when we got authorization to go ahead with the mortgage office.
So practically speaking and functionality wise, like you could process everything through Neighborly as you would through mortgage office?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll provide the functionality that we're currently using out of the mortgage office and any other functionality that we would need with minimal work by authority staff.
And as you noted, there's just the big delta would be the one-time fee for Neighborly of $19,000, but that'd just be the one-time fee. As long as you continue using that subscription, then that just carries, the annual fee is the only thing that carries forward, so.
Yeah. And the interactive part of it with the client is something that we, and Holly can answer, when we started working with Epic and our client portal that they built for us, and they were great. They built us a client portal, they've made changes, but every time we make a change is an hourly fee. But we also don't have that client interaction. So when Kendra or Holly go in and they put a note in the file in our software, it doesn't email the client, and the client doesn't have the ability to log in and see where their application is and upload files, which is something that Neighborly will have. So it kind of allows us to have a little bit more interaction with our clients electronically. Certainly we know we're never going to eliminate the paper application because some people just aren't there, and elderly people don't necessarily have access to that stuff. So, but it does help us a little bit in our communication. It also does, it has, and I don't know if you had the ability to look at the slides, our contractors, we can put our bids out there. Contractors can submit bid quotes online. The contractors have a portal. They can submit their payment authorization forms on the portal on Neighborly. So there's stuff that Neighborly will provide that we don't currently have access to. So there's definitely some increased productivity there on the Neighborly side.
Any other questions from the board?
I just have one real quick. So I just want to make sure that before we proceed with this, that it indeed is going to, be a smoother process, a more efficient process, just because I don't want, I trust, Aaron, that you and your team have done all the due diligence necessary, but I just want to triple check that it's not going to be like a repeat of the accounting systems where, going to QuickBooks and Blackbaud and everything like that. I still want to make sure that, in another year or two, we're not going to be jumping to another system. But, I've heard good things about Neighborly. The state of Minnesota uses it for their applications, very user-friendly on my end. But I just, I want to put that out there.
No, Ethan, I appreciate your concern. I know what was the timeline for implementation? Do you guys remember? 6 months, was it? Yeah, I think he said 6 to 8 months for implementation, but certainly, I think it's one of those. To your point, I've learned we will certainly make sure in the contract is a defined timeline, and certainly liquidated damages for them not meeting their implementation timeline. So, I will make sure that in our contract is some protections for the authority and something that we would get out of it if they fail to meet their timeline.
Okay.
And then
I have a
oh, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yep.
Not knowing exactly how the current systems are working, is there an opportunity to interface this new Neighborly software with FENXT in terms of some of the accounting transactions that may be going back and forth? Or will these be maintained as separate systems with manual entries as needed?
We did ask him that question. Currently, they're looking at 2026 for implementation into financial systems. So currently, they don't offer that, but it is something that they're working on internally. And like he said, he hopes that that'll be available in 2026.
Okay, thank you.
And then with the existing programs, I guess, we know that once those expire, I mean, if we're not renewing them, they just cut off, I guess, or we have to provide certain notice?
So under the mortgage office, like I said, our contract expires in November of 2025.
Sure.
So that would be just a non-renewal of that contract.
Okay.
We've already canceled our additional 2 users on mortgage office because the cost and usage of it just wasn't justifiable. So, and as far as Epic, we would just abandon that part of the portal and wouldn't utilize it anymore, and just pay for our hosting of the website and not the
Okay.
portal.
And then would this be something then for next year, or is this something that you're looking to implement now? Like, how quickly are we looking at this?
Given that the mortgage office expires and then we would lose all that historical data that is in there in November, it's something that I would like the board to approve us to start so that we can complete implementation in time to extract all that data from the mortgage office before our contract expires and we lose access to that. Because since Cynthia and Angel have done a substantial amount of work of inputting all of our mortgages going back to the 90s into the mortgage office, and that's data that we can pull out and extract and put into Neighborly without having the need to re-input all that data.
And so you would be looking at doing that sometime, you said, what was it, September, October?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
And one more question, kind of more of a global question. So Neighborly is a web-based, cloud-based application, is that correct?
Yes, Neighborly is a 100%
Okay.
cloud-based application.
So is the hope that the authority moves everything to cloud-based applications and not to have anything on server? Is that
Yeah.
in a plan, or?
Yes, that's been the plan since QuickBooks Online. Blackbaud's cloud-based. Everything else essentially we have is all cloud or server-based outside of the authority or the city of Erie. So we log in remotely to just about everything.
Okay, great. And that should enhance security and minimize cyber threats and so on.
Yes.
Perfect.
Any other questions? So for purposes of the motion, I guess, or resolution, what are we looking to achieve now, today? Is it continued exploration of this, or is it, are you looking for a specific authority?
I was looking for a motion to enter into the agreement with Neighborly. We have pricing so their March 1st of 2025, their pricing it was to increase with Neighborly. He locked us in under February because I told him I wouldn't be able to get anything as far as approval to move forward until March. So it is my ask for the board for a motion to enter into an agreement with Neighborly and start the process of transitioning over to Neighborly software for the redevelopment authority's operations as far as client mortgages and scope writing.
Okay, and then we would just have like kind of that carryover period from now until September, October, whenever mortgage office expires, but at the same time, you've gotten rid of the 2 additional users. So it kind of is what it is at this point.
Yes, yeah, mortgage office is the only one we're tied to at the current time. As soon as the Exactware licenses, which we have to renew every 6 months, would come to expire here in the next, I think it's 2.5, 3 months.
Okay.
Those, we just wouldn't renew those. And it would allow then the inspectors a chance to start exporting a lot of their project data into Neighborly and get some of those files
And we would,
transferred over.
when you sign the Neighborly contract, that's like the date, that's going to be the start date for it, and then,
Yes, they would
Okay.
then start our implementation and assign us the implementation team to start compiling and designing Neighborly to fit our needs.
okay.
6 to 8 months.
I believe so. I'll follow up
That's-
with
that's
Mark.
good. That's-
Yeah,
By the end of the year, at least.
yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to, I guess, authorize Aaron to sign the Neighborly agreement as drafted with the understanding that he's locked in the pricing that we've reviewed? That's
Yes,
correct? Okay.
That is correct.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Looks like the last item is the race new production program. Aaron, did you want to?
Yes, and Marcia, I will apologize that I've made you sit there the whole time. I completely forgot this was on the agenda, and so best, as in last March, the Redevelopment Authority approved funding for best for the rehabilitation of 560 East Fifth Street in the amount of, I believe it was $90,000 in ARPA funds. As with other projects, it has come to their attention that they don't feel that is the best use and would request to move that 90,000 over to 431 Ash Street, which was also part of their application back when we were accepting proposals for these projects. So we already have the sources and use. It was already part of their original plan to do the work on this property. It's just our funding didn't allow. So the request in the letter is to reallocate that funding officially from 560 East Fifth Street over to 431 Ash Street, which, like I said, was part of their original application. Marcia, would you like to add anything? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, and she's here. I asked her to come in case the board had any questions in regards to this project or request.
Does the board have any questions? Hearing none, do we have?
No, sorry,
Okay.
I was
Go ahead.
slow on the button here. So we originally, the intention was to renovate a multifamily building, and now the request is to move the same funding to a single family?
No, it wasn't multifamily. It was an apartment above a market. So it was a
Okay.
commercial space on the bottom floor, and we were not going to renovate that. We were going to renovate the apartment above it, which was single family.
Thank you. So I'm just trying to quickly read through this.
Yeah, so to that point, Chuck, it's a one for one. It's one unit to
Okay.
one unit. So we're not losing a unit of production out of the program. It's staying status quo.
And it's directly across the street, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And actually, the house has, I believe, an additional bedroom,
Okay.
whereas the apartment does not. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the reallocation of funds from 560 East Fifth Street to 431 Ash Street?
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we don't have any other additional business, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.